You're listening to a production of the National Media Archive. To learn more or volunteer, go to nationalmediaarchive.com.
They were newly married, still young, still broke, just trying to find a place that felt safe, something they could actually afford, a place to raise a daughter without worrying about sirens or break-ins. After a long search, Andy and Lisa Wyrick found it. A brick ranch house in rural Georgia, big yard, peaceful street. The kind of home people dream about buying when they're finally ready to settle down. It had been abandoned. The previous owners walked off and never looked back. Perfect, right? That's what they thought. They never asked why the previous owners left in such a hurry. Andy was just 21, thought he was living the dream, owning his first home, building a life. And at first, it was the dream. They didn't have much, but they had each other, and the place finally felt like home. Only one downside. There weren't any other kids in the neighborhood. But Heidi, their daughter, didn't seem to mind. She loved the yard. It was big, safe, or at least it seemed that way. Then came March. Late afternoon. Andy was at work. Heidi asked to go outside. Her mom said yes. What happened next flipped everything upside down. Heidi started talking to someone. She said his name was Mr. Gordy. He asked her questions. Would you like to go swing on my swing? She answered him casually, like kids do with neighbors they trust. Then she came back inside and asked, Mama, can I go swing with the man? What man? Lisa didn't see anyone. No one was supposed to be there, no visitors, no neighbors nearby. You don't talk to strangers, she told her. You don't play with anyone we don't know. She picked up the phone and called Andy. Andy, it's your wife. There's a man. He wants her to come outside and play. Keep her inside, Andy said. Lock the doors. I'm coming home right now. Lisa hung up, locked everything down, and told Heidi to stay put. From that point forward, she didn't let her daughter out of her sight. But then Heidi brought him up again. Mr. Gordy, she said. She played with him, talked to him, said he came by often. Gray hair, dark suit, always smiling, always kind. The Wyricks asked neighbors if they knew a man like that. Nobody did. Was he just imaginary? Heidi kept mentioning him. Told her mom that Mr. Gordy came into her room, sat on her bed, talked to her. Said he was her friend. Lisa started thinking maybe this was just something kids do, invent imaginary playmates when they don't have anyone else around. Except this one felt different. Heidi would set a place at the table for him. She brought him food. She said they talked about things, but couldn't really say what. Lisa started to worry. Not about Mr. Gordy. About the fact her daughter was spending way too much time by herself. Still, Mr. Gordy seemed harmless. Maybe a little weird, but harmless. Then one afternoon changed everything. Lisa heard a knock. Heidi looked disturbed. Calmly, she said, There was a man at the door. Mr. Gordy? Lisa asked. No, he had blood on his shirt. Now, it wasn't just strange. It was scary. Lisa opened the door. No one there. No one outside. Nothing. How did Mr. Gordy get blood on his shirt? She asked. That wasn't Mr. Gordy. That night, Lisa told her daughter never open the door. Not ever. Because now this wasn't just imaginary friend territory. Something was off, and it was only just beginning. The Wyricks started watching Heidi more closely. Her stories didn't stop. They got darker. Mr. Gordy was still around, always polite, always kind. But now there was another name, another man, a different presence. She called him Con. Andy and Lisa assumed this was just more imagination, a new made-up character born from a lonely kid's mind until Heidi described him. She said he had a bloody shirt, that he stood at the door, and that he scared her. Lisa still hadn't seen anyone. She started brushing it off, laughed it away when Heidi talked about it. Just kids being kids. But then the stories didn't fade. They escalated. Heidi's imaginary friends were turning into something else. She still talked about Mr. Gordy, still every day. He was the nice one. But Con, that name kept coming up, more frequently, always with blood. Andy didn't like it. He brought home a puppy, hoping to distract Heidi. Give her a real friend. They named her Sheba. And for a while, it helped. But then a relative came to visit, Joyce, Lisa's sister, and she noticed something strange. Heidi was out in the yard, talking to someone. Who's she talking to? Joyce asked. Oh, Mr. Gordy, Lisa said. She talks to him all the time. Joyce looked confused. Her imaginary friend? Later, Joyce struck up a conversation with the former owner of her new house, a woman named Miss Kelly. They got to talking about old neighbors, family friends. Joyce asked her if she knew a man named Gordy. Miss Kelly nodded. James Gordy, he was a family friend, took care of my mother's business, lived in a 2-story house near the funeral home. Where is he now? He died back in 1974. That's when things clicked. Lisa and Joyce started connecting dots. James Gordy, gray hair, dark suit, local caretaker, matched Heidi's description exactly. Lisa went to the library, dug through old microfilm, found his obituary, his burial site, even the deed to the property. James S. Gordy, born 1888, died 1974. Heidi had never seen that name in print. She couldn't read at that age. But when Lisa took her to the cemetery, Heidi ran straight to his grave. Didn't hesitate, didn't even look around. She went right to it like she knew. She said, "That's Mr. Gordy's grave." There were hundreds of headstones, but she found his. That's when Lisa's concern shifted, from imagination to something harder to explain. How could her daughter know the name, the face, and the location of a man who'd been dead for nearly 2 decades? And what about Khan, the man with blood on his shirt? More answers came soon. Miss Kelly showed the Wyrick's old family photos, snapshots from the neighborhood's past. Lisa handed them to Heidi. Halfway through the stack, she stopped, pointed to a man in one of the pictures. "That's Khan," she said. Miss Kelly corrected her. "That's Lon. He was my uncle, lived on this property when he was a kid." Miss Kelly explained. Lon had been injured in a farming accident, lost his hand in a cotton gin. He died in 1957. Again, Heidi had no way of knowing this, no way to make up the details, but she described the man exactly as he was, from a photo she'd never seen, from an era long before she was born. Lisa started feeling the weight of something larger than just childhood fantasy. Her daughter wasn't inventing people. She was seeing them. As the truth started to settle in, the fear set in deeper. Lisa and Andy Wyrick weren't just living in an old house anymore. They were living in something else, something that felt watched. Heidi began sleeping with her parents every night, lights on, doors locked. Her world, once full of safe swings and pretend tea parties, was now occupied by ghosts, and not the friendly kind. One night, Lisa's niece Kelly came over, just a normal visit, until the family dog started freaking out, snarling, barking, losing it completely. He was staring into the kitchen. There was nothing there, but the dog saw something, and that was enough to shake them all. The dog ran off, never came back, and things didn't calm down. Heidi still saw Mr. Gordy, but the dark figure, the one without a face, started appearing more and more. She never called him by name, just the man. He never spoke, never smiled, just watched. Lisa tried to dismiss it. So did Andy, but then the physical stuff started. Lisa walked into the kitchen and saw Heidi, silent, pale, standing still. "What's wrong?" she asked. "There's a man behind you." Lisa turned. No one. Then came the scratches. Long, thin, angry red marks appeared on Heidi's face. No explanation. No one near her. Just there. The next night, they packed up and stayed with family, but sleep didn't help. Andy woke up clutching his side, said it felt like fire. 3 claw marks were gouged across his ribs. They returned home the next day, reluctantly. Then it happened again. Andy woke up bleeding, this time down his back. The scratches were deeper. Every night, something new, and always unseen. Vultures started circling the property, just sitting in the trees, silent, waiting. The Wyricks were out of answers. And money. They couldn't just leave. So Lisa made a decision. She called in help. Not a priest, not a ghost hunter, a scientist. Dr. Wright, William Roll, a psychologist from Oxford who specialized in parapsychology, the study of unexplained phenomena. He didn't bring crosses or holy water. He brought equipment, sensors, thermometers, magnetometers, and a calm voice. Dr. Roll interviewed the family. Heidi first. She told him the entities looked real, felt real. Said Mr. Gordy even held her hand. Not shadowy figures, not see-through ghosts, just people, visible, solid, and right there. Roll didn't think the Wyricks were crazy. In fact, he thought Heidi had a rare trait, the ability to sense what he called place memories, residual energy left behind by people who had once lived in a location, like a psychic fingerprint. He called it rare, but not supernatural. To him, it was science. Dr. Roll theorized that these place memories could imprint in the environment, and that someone like Heidi, sensitive, maybe genetically wired for it, could pick up on those imprints and visualize them as fully formed people. And if that was the case, then there should be proof. So he tested her. 10 photos, one of James Gordy. Heidi pointed to it instantly. "That's him," she said. She'd never seen the picture, never been told what he looked like, but she knew. Dr. Roll didn't claim it was paranormal. He believed it was an extension of perception, like an extra sense, and some people had more of it than others. He believed Heidi had it, and maybe her mom did too, because the deeper he looked, the more it became clear this wasn't just about the house. It was about them. Dr. William Roll kept digging, and what he found made the whole thing even weirder. Lisa's family, her parents, her grandparents, they'd all had experiences too. Things they couldn't explain, things that sounded an awful lot like what Heidi was going through. Voices, figures, nightmares that felt too real. Lisa's childhood home was in a place called Painted Hollow. Locals pronounced it Haunted Hollow. It sat near the Trail of Tears, the brutal path where thousands of Cherokee were forced from their homes in the 1800s. Many died along that route. Some say the land never forgot. Lisa told Dr. Roll stories from her childhood, stories about caves where people heard screams, year after year. No one inside, nothing to see. But the cries kept coming. Dr. Roll wasn't shocked. To him, this only confirmed what he already suspected. This wasn't a haunting in the Hollywood sense. It was a human phenomenon, a genetic sensitivity to place memories passed down through bloodlines. And now, Heidi had inherited it. Dr. Roll still wanted hard data, so he brought his team back to the Wyrick house, this time with sensors to measure environmental changes, especially magnetic fields and ion levels. Because according to some research, natural shifts in the Earth, even minor seismic activity, can trigger electromagnetic spikes. Those spikes can mess with the brain, particularly the temporal lobe, which is tied to perception. The sensors were placed around the house. In the middle of the night, the readings spiked from 0.1 to over 40 milligauss, especially near Lisa and Andy's bedroom. That's not normal. That's a lot. One theory? The house sat on a fault line, and the movement underground could be causing all of it. The apparitions, the scratches, the sensations. To a sensitive brain like Heidi's, it could all feel real. Still, Roll admitted one thing he couldn't explain. The scratches. They weren't imagined. They were physical. Real wounds with no visible cause. And they affected not just Heidi, but Andy too. There's no electromagnetic explanation for that. So even though Dr. Roll could break down the science, the fear inside the house didn't go away because knowing what's causing something doesn't always make it stop. Heidi was growing older. She started seeing Mr. Gordy less and less. But the dark figure, the one with no face, never left. He followed her. To school, to her aunt's house next door, even when no one else was around, and she wasn't the only one. Her best friend Montine saw him too. Once, he appeared right on the porch, walked through the wall, then vanished. No one was laughing about imaginary friends anymore. And then came the press. A local reporter called. Wanted an interview. Said the story had made the rounds. Word had gotten out. When he showed up, he wouldn't come inside. He saw something in the window. He couldn't explain it. And he left. Heidi wasn't just dealing with ghosts. She was now dealing with reputation. The community had labeled her the girl who sees things, the freak. No one asked her how it felt. No one cared that she was terrified. She just became the haunted kid. And that isolation cut deep. She stopped talking about what she saw, not because it stopped happening, but because no one believed her. As the outside world laughed, the inside of the Wyrick house stayed terrifying. One afternoon, Lisa's niece Kelly stopped by. While they chatted, they heard voices coming from down the hall. But the only person home, aside from them, was Jordan, the youngest daughter, barely old enough to string a full sentence. She was in her room, talking. Lisa walked in. "Who are you talking to?" Jordan didn't miss a beat. "The little girl." "What little girl?" "The one who got killed in the car accident." No emotion, no hesitation. And just like that, Jordan joined the list. She had seen a ghost. Lisa wasn't shocked. She was exhausted. She started to wonder if this wasn't about the house at all. Maybe it was about them, her family, their bloodline. Because the further back she looked, the deeper the pattern went. One night, Lisa's sister Joyce was home alone. She heard something, laughter. A little girl. The sound came from nowhere, and everywhere. She walked toward it. But when she realized there was no one else in the house, no explanation, she didn't keep walking. She left. Even Lisa's faith started to crack. She believed in God, but the scratches, the voices, the faceless man, none of it felt like something from a place of light. It felt evil. And that's when the deep voices started. Lisa said they came from above her bed. They didn't speak clearly, just murmured, growled. She couldn't understand what they were saying, but she felt it in her chest, like they were talking about her. Heidi was still seeing the dark figure, still too afraid to sleep alone, still holding all of it in. She confided in her best friend, Montine, about how tired she was, how she just wanted it to go away. The house wasn't just haunted, it was consuming her. That's when Dr. Roll came back. He needed to hear about everything. The voices, the laughter, Jordan's new friend. Heidi told him about the shower, said she'd been alone, and someone laughed just outside the curtain. Not a child, an older woman. Lisa told him about the voices in the bedroom and the guilt, because part of her, deep down, believed this was her fault, that whatever was in her daughter's blood came from her. Dr. Roll explained the theory again: place memories, environmental energy, people with sensitivity. He still believed it was scientific, that Heidi and Lisa were what psychics call physical mediums, people who don't just feel energy but actually see it. To Dr. Roll, this was a natural human ability, just one most people didn't have. But the Wyricks weren't looking for labels. They wanted it to stop. The science gave them explanations, but not solutions. So the Wyricks turned to someone else, a psychic. At Dr. Roll's request, a medium named Amy Allen visited the house. No one briefed her. She didn't meet the family, didn't know their story. That was on purpose. She needed to walk in cold, and when she did, she felt it immediately. Amy said the energy was thick, like walking into fog. She felt multiple presences, some good, some not. One of the first entities she sensed was what she called the caretaker. Amy believed this spirit was protective, attached to the house, not trying to harm anyone. Sounded a lot like Mr. Gordy. Then she saw a little girl. So solid, Amy almost spoke to her, thinking she was alive, but she wasn't. Then the mood shifted. In the shadows, Amy felt something darker. She described it as 3 parts. 2 older men, 1 younger man. The younger one had no face, just a black void, like someone had erased his features. Amy said the energy wasn't just bad, it was angry, vicious. It matched what Heidi had been seeing for years. Amy explained that spirits aren't all evil, but some are, especially people who were violent or unstable in life. Murderers, rapists, predators, and sometimes they stick around after death, still angry, still feeding off fear. She said that's what the Wyricks were dealing with, and there was something else. Amy believed that spirits are drawn to people like Heidi and Lisa, that mediums act like beacons, like flashlights in a dark room. The dead are attracted to that light. Moving wouldn't fix it, because it wasn't just the house, it was them. Amy sat down with the family, told them she didn't believe they were haunted by demons, but they were haunted, and they always would be, because of who they were. That explanation didn't sit well with Lisa. She didn't want a gift. She wanted peace. So she turned to someone who saw things more like she did, a Christian psychic, one who believed in spiritual warfare. This new medium didn't need history or backstory. He walked into the house and said it hit him immediately. Heavy energy. He pointed to the fireplace, said that's where the barrier was, where something crossed between realms. He moved through the rooms, stopping at the same spots Amy Allen had. Said he felt a presence in Heidi's room, but also something pushing back against it. A force of protection. In Jordan's room, calm. But at the doorway, more pressure. Same pattern, same story. 2 psychics, different belief systems, same conclusions. Lisa was done waiting. She called her pastor. Enough was enough. Lisa and Andy Wyrick were done with sensors and theories and trying to outthink the unthinkable. The scratches, the voices, the shadows, the fear. They couldn't live like this anymore. So they turned fully to their faith. They brought their family to church and asked their pastor, Brother Stephen Shelley, for help. He didn't hesitate. He believed in spirits. He believed in possession. And he believed that what the Wyricks were dealing with wasn't just supernatural. It was demonic. In front of the congregation, he anointed the family with oil, prayed over them, rebuked any forces in the house, called out the spirits by name, told them they had no power over Heidi, over Jordan, over anyone. Lisa cried through the whole thing. For the first time, someone was standing up for them, not just analyzing them. Heidi sat quietly as Brother Shelley said what no one else had. It wasn't her fault. None of this was her fault. She hadn't asked for this gift. She didn't want it. The family went home that night feeling different, lighter, not because the spirits were gone, but because someone finally believed them. Over time, things changed. The activity slowed. Mr. Gordy faded away. Heidi stopped seeing him. The dark figure never really left, but it came around less. Jordan started sleeping through the night. The Wyricks stayed in the house, not because they weren't scared, but because they refused to give up. Andy put it simply, we're not going to let it win. They still hear things sometimes, still get the feeling of being watched, still have moments they don't like to talk about, but they keep going. Because after all the investigations, the psychics, the science, and the prayers, this is still their home. And for Heidi, the visions never stopped. She's older now. She keeps most of it to herself. The spirits still come, some kind, some terrifying, some with no faces at all, but she's learned how to live with it, not because it's easy, because it's hers.